for the passengers who are flying, they have suits that have a very, very specific standard that has to be met. The standard really prescribes, how much water can get in, how much temperatures can change. It's a very detailed standard. Not only do they have a set standard, they have the C-NLOPB who has required that the operators go above that standard and really demonstrate not only that their suits meet the standard, but that their suits really protect the people who are in them. So they've had them demonstrate by doing in-water testing, those kind of things. Compare that to the flight crew. They don't have a detailed standard. For them, Transport Canada just says that the suits have to adequately protect against hypothermia. So no detailed numbers to compare against. So that's one concern. Should there be detailed numbers is one question I have. The other is, has anybody demonstrated that the suits that the flight crew are currently wearing do in fact adequately protect them against hypothermia should they end up in the water? And so really when it comes down to it, that's my concern. Those suits might be fine. I don't know. Nobody has done the testing yet in terms of any evidence I've seen, and I really think that testing should be done.
What did you ask Rick Byrd about that, Cougar? I can't remember you asking about that.
I did. I certainly asked him about the suits and asked him to provide the standards that provide to us standards about what the pilots are currently wearing, what specs they meet. I also asked, when the Department of National Defense was here, I also asked them to provide their standard for what their SAR pilots wear, so that once we get that information in, we'll at least have some basis to compare. So we've put that request out. Both parties have said that they will provide that information, but
we haven't reference to the C-NLOPB's response, if you will, to the pilot's complaint back in 2004 and the review which indicated it was a bit of an old boys club, and there was apparently a lack of a safety culture at that time. What were you trying to get at there?
Well, when I questioned on February 4th, I had an opportunity to question Cougar, and in my questioning of them, there was a couple of things that took me by surprise. One was the pilot helmets. Their pilots are not currently required to wear helmets. In questioning Mr. Burt, he conceded that it's safer to wear a helmet than to not wear a helmet. But yet he had some concerns whether helmets might be heavy, uncomfortable. There was other issues about helmets other than the safety piece, which is fair enough. But I put the question to him whether they had ever done a formal risk assessment of the helmets to put some data behind your opinions and your feelings, to really look at it and say, is this a piece of equipment that we should be requiring? And the answer back was that, Cougar has never done that with this, critical piece of safety equipment. They've never done that type of risk assessment. And he thought, when I put the idea to him, he thought that to do that would actually be a very good idea. Those were his words. So I look at a company that's saying that they're very proactive, that they want to manage risk, but yet here's one example of something that they haven't done a risk assessment of. Now, I was surprised, and as we've just heard from Mr. Pike from the C-NLOPB, when he heard that testimony, he too was surprised. So I'm not saying that Cougar has an old boys club culture. I don't know. I'm just saying that we really need someone to look into this and ensure that companies such as Cougar, who are so critical to the safety of everyone who travels offshore, are actually practicing what they're preaching.
So I heard him say this afternoon that because the suits met a Transport Canada prescriptive standard for helicopter transportation suits, they felt unable to turn around and address the issue that these suits pose a safety hazard for people with the operators. I find that absolutely amazing.